The i5 7600K is not good enough for Call of Duty apparently. So I think that's the only game that really maxes out my CPU and causes issues. I think
I
that's
still
it.
get my CPU kind of near max when I'm playing Smite.
What do you
Certain
got?
games,
What do you got cranked up on there? I mean, to be fair, it's probably just CPU based rendering. I don't think that they probably don't use a lot of GPU, but
probably not.
because
At
it's
least you
console,
at least
right?
I
That's
run it
it's a console port, right? Smite
though.
is.
Is it a port? I don't think it's a straight up port. I
So
think it
I
came.
thought Smite was built because they wanted a MOBA
Well,
for
it was.
consoles,
It
right?
was because it's a third person. It's like the only third person MOBA that
Mm,
actually works.
right. So I didn't know if it was a direct port or if they rebuilt it for PC. But that's like the thing for consoles is they use more CPU because you can't really just drop a graphics card in a console. I
Yeah.
guess
Let me
apparently.
just give me your entire
So
CPU.
yeah, your
Give me it.
CPU is your rendering card as well as your actual you know computational unit.
You know.
So they don't split very well, but that's because console developers don't understand PC development. And if they do, they get shot down
Why I don't
by
really
the
want.
corporate money lords.
Yeah, which is why I'm kind of sketch on buying Cold War, just because I know it'll probably have the same problems.
Yeah, I think I don't. I want it to be better. You know, I would like it to be better than the what is it, Modern Warfare? That's what it's called. But my guess is it's probably going to be the same.
See, I don't think Modern Warfare is bad if I played it on a console where
Yeah.
I could run.
But I'm trying to remember if Black Ops 4 was as bad as Modern Warfare or not.
Black Ops,
Blackout was kind of good, but it
Black
was
Ops.
also developed for PC, wasn't it? It wasn't just a console thing. It was something that they were like,
Black
let's
Ops
put it on
4 actually
PC.
felt like it was developed for PC,
Yeah,
not
yeah,
like Modern Warfare, where it felt like it was ported.
from a PlayStation. No offense,
Yeah,
PlayStation, but it would have
no,
been
full.
worse if it was from Xbox. But
Yeah, you're right.
which is surprising because PC, Windows, and Xbox, Microsoft are the same
That's
company. But
that's why I'm kind of with PlayStation saying they're gonna move a lot of their games over to Epic Store, like their exclusives. It makes me wonder, like, is it gonna run like it runs on a PlayStation, or is it gonna be just a port? They're just gonna copy paste it, or are they actually gonna try and develop it?
that's a good question. Probably is going to be a port, especially at the beginning, because my
I will
guess is they
say,
don't want to sink money into it and not know.
I will say they did a good job on Horizon Zero Dawn. They just ported that, and it looks really good. I haven't heard anyone complain about that,
Yeah.
so maybe it'll be good. I hope so, because I want to play Spider Man 4K
Again,
60. Yeah, I'll play it again. I
that's
also never
still.
finished God of War, so I need to play
Mm,
that.
yeah. Nope. I haven't played any PlayStation games since PlayStation 2, I don't think. Yeah, no. I haven't played 3 or 4 games at all.
I haven't played one since I beat Spider Man.
It's still more than me. It's still newer.
It's enough.
I heard they're coming out with a Miles Morales game. I'm assuming
DLC,
it's
yeah.
just DLC. I didn't know if it was a full game or if
No,
they were
it is a
just.
full game, but
Oh, it's going to be DLC. Okay.
full game. It literally is the same game. I don't know what they're changing other than the graphics.
I'm assuming that's what it is, right? They're just changing the main character and they're swapping some story elements around.
Yeah, which is, I mean, it's cool. I think people wanted that because everyone wants more Spider-Man.
Yeah, it's solid. It's a solid game engine. I
Which
don't
is
think
why I was
it needs
sad
to
when
be
they didn't have
changed.
any more DLC for Spider-Man, like the first game. Like they had one, well, they had 3 separate DLCs, but they were in one story, like contained story. So I wanted another one of those.
Give us more. We'll buy it.
Yeah.
But they say, nah, we're good. We made enough money, actually.
I mean, I bought all the DLC. They made all the money too off me. They made actually all the money off me because I bought a PlayStation.
Oh, they really did. They got
They
you.
made every single bit of money. But then I sold it for more than I bought it for, so it was worth it.
I can.
Also, I'm not really debating getting the Xbox, but I'm not going to deny that it's a good deal. I don't know if you looked into that at
The
all.
full size or the slim version? I think the slim's a good deal. I don't know about the big boy.
$500 though. That's definitely losing money on that console. There's no way they're making money on.
Yeah, if they're toting the 4K 60 to 120 frames a second, and it's only $500, which is the same price for a graphics card for a PC. What are they cheaping out on there? Are they gonna not give us a hard drive in there or what? Everything's gonna be in the cloud. You gotta be. I mean, we're already connected to the internet automatically, anyways. We can't not be.
The SSD is supposed to be what, 512 gigabytes?
I have no idea. I didn't look it up.
I will look up specs.
I'm assuming it's probably only going to be about 400 space remaining, but
Also, did you see the potential as soon as they revealed the leaked S, someone was like, "Oh, is this a leak for another console?" It's just the Xbox Series X with no disk drive. It's the Xbox Series V or 5, depending on if it's a Roman numeral.
right.
But it's literally just Xbox X, Series X, but smaller.
I mean, it's not like there's any data stored on the disks that you're inserting into the console, anyways, because you had to download the whole thing.
SSD. NVMe.
Oh, what's the actual speed on it though?
It's an NVMe. That's up to 3.5. It's as low as 2 gigabytes, up to anywhere like 3.5 gigabytes a second. Obviously, it'll slow down as you fill it up. But
Right.
good lord, how are they making money on this? I mean, they aren't, but
Probably from their games and their what is that called? The streaming service, whatever Xbox's Game Pass is.
they added the EA thing to that for free. So now you get all the EA games too.
For $5 a month. I think $5 a month for all EA games is worth because it's the same game every year.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're exclusively just playing EA games, I think that's worth, and you actually get value out of playing the game, and not just like you play one game once. But I don't know about the other games necessarily.
Me when I make a football game every year.
Because I mean, I don't mind not owning any of the sports games because I know the next year the new one's going to be the same thing, but with updated. What are they called? Rosters, yeah. Maybe some new graphics, maybe a new gameplay element or a new storyline that you get to play as. But
I played Madden NFL 18 for 2 years.
yeah, they hold up.
16. I played 16 or 17 for like 2 years. It's just the same game. Same game as the last one, same game as the next one.
So it's not like you're missing anything. But like the other games, like I guess in a sense the Battlefields and the other single player games, I would rather own those and be able to go back to them even if I'm not paying $5 a month or if I don't have internet connection. Then I would be down to spend the extra money to get those games and keep them. But that's just me being a guy that likes to own the content that I pay for.
Yeah, that's fair. I was talking to people about the S not having a disc tray because I'm one of those people that I just don't like having all these I don't need physical copies of it. I'm not super into having physical copies of games unless it's like for my 360.
Right.
I can't get those anymore. But for new games, I just don't see the point.
If you got the space, there's no real reason. It's less actual physical space that's being taken up. So, I mean, if you really enjoyed the game and you have it as a digital copy and you're like, I really want to just have the case and say that I've owned this forever and it's one of your favorite games of all time, then yeah, I'd go out and buy it, aka Super Smash Bros. Melee for the Nintendo GameCube. Yeah. I don't even have a GameCube or a Wii to play it on, but I still have the case in the game and the original pamphlet because it's memorabilia at that point. It's a collector's item kind of thing.
Yeah. So
for that makes sense. And if you're building a physical collection to show off, then I don't want like CD or Blu-ray or whatever the discs are currently at. I don't want that market to disappear because there are still collectors and people that want that and would be willing to pay the $70-$80 for that item, even if you could buy it for $45 on the game store for the same
Oh, yeah.
thing.
For sure.
So
I don't know. It just depends on your. Just depends on who you are.
yeah, there's market for both. So I understand the push, but I don't think digital games should be $70 plus. I think they should be less than $60. That's just my hot take on the fact that I feel like making a CD and burning your game onto it and making the graphic art on the cover and making the case and shipping all of that stuff, that $60 is getting a bit too expensive if you're just buying the digital copy that they're just pushing directly to you. There's not any transfer fees, there's no making of a disc, making of a case, packaging, none of that. So you shouldn't be spending the full price on a digital copy, in my opinion.
You remember Fallout 76?
I remember that it's surprisingly still around.
Physical copies were just the case with a cardboard disc in them.
Yeah.
With instructions on how to download it.
Which for some people, that's fine. Because you're like, okay, cool. I have a case that I can show off. But for the people that are like, but I wanted the CD so I could play it offline.
Yeah.
And take it to my friend's house who doesn't have internet to
that's
download it.
Scam. That's almost a scam.
Yeah, I think in a sense it technically is, because you're buying a physical copy, which implies that you're buying a disc that has the game on it, which obviously that isn't the market anymore. Most of them are a installer script that pulls it from their network to your computer. There's no actual game to rip from that CD.
No, I just don't see the point. Why would you even want? That's just losing money. Just don't sell physical copies.
It's almost like a waste of money and at the end of the day, bad publicity for your brand.
Yeah.
I don't know who that went through that they let that pass, but as like the guy on the floor that's putting that cardboard disc in the case and thinking to himself, why am I doing this? I would hate to be that guy, because he's like, I know I'm doing something dirty, but I'm getting paid X amount of dollars an hour to fill a case. No big deal. Like, for them, it's like, that sucks for you. You just got scammed. But yeah, that was an interesting idea for whoever came up with that. He probably got a raise, that's for sure. 100% got a raise.
Probably the same guy that actually let the game be published.
He was probably the nylon bag guy too. He had a lot of great ideas. I think they had one boardroom meeting and he came up with all those ideas, and then they're like, let's do it, push it, let's go. And then afterwards he's like, hey, I made my money, I'm out.
I forgot about the bag, bro.
The bag is ridiculous.
Bag.
The best part is that they tried to come back from that and then send out a nylon bag again, and it's still, people were still mad about it because it broke. Half the bags just had holes in it or ripped or came like half destroyed. It was like, what are you doing, Bethesda, or whoever came up with that? But that was a mess of a pre-launch. That wasn't even like, the game hadn't even come out yet. They had sent out those packages early and the game wasn't even out yet.
And then they made it worse when they gave certain people the canvas bag.
Yeah, it's like, what was the point of that? I feel like if you're gonna give it out as you buy this digital deluxe copy, just give it out. And if you want it to be a PR thing, then just send it to the people that you're like, hey, review my game. Here's the digital deluxe copy.
Here's the bag.
And then give them the premium bag, because then at the very least, you could say, yeah, all the PR people, they got the cool bag, but everybody else we ship out is just a generic bag. We never said that it was going to be a nylon bag.
Or even just don't have the bag.
Yeah, or just not have the bag. But at least it's misleading instead of being directly ripping people off and giving people the wrong product. And people would be less mad. Be like, oh, okay, you're just going to give the better version, the better product to the people that are reviewing it, so you look better as a company. But instead, they just looked worse.
The amount of people that didn't get it outweighed the 4 people that actually got the bag and reviewed it.
Sense. That makes no sense.
When enough people complain about something, you hear it really loudly.
I think the game wasn't even that good.
Still not good.
which I don't. I'm assuming it. I think it's gotten better, but that's because they've actually gotten content.
Yeah, they started development on it after.
Yeah, they actually did something with it. I've watched. There was one or two guys that were playing it, and they were like, "It's decent." Wild was one of them. I think he was playing on stream a while back where he played with his viewers. But he
Wonder if they
played the
still have
entire
that
game in one stream. He played literally all of the storylines in one go. So
Wow.
he's like,
I wonder if they still have the FPS capped to 60 because of the movement speed thing.
probably. I haven't looked up anything in a long time. Pretty much since Wild played it, I didn't really pay attention. But yeah,
Because I remember when I would watch Shroud play the beta, he would just look at the floor and get 240 FPS and just sprint across the map.
How does that work? How do you have a speed boost because of frames per second? Like, how do you scuff that so bad?
Yes.
How do you scuff that?
I don't know who designs a game where your movement speed is tied to your FPS. I've never seen that before. I'm sure people have done it, maybe for only console games because it's like a set value. You know,
Right.
like you're not going to go over 60, so they can kind of get away with it.
So it's
But
lazy
for
coding.
PC games, yeah, it's lazy coding basically because it's I imagine it's easier to tie your movement speed to that value than have to set a movement speed default. Maybe I don't code games, but it has to be easier because why else wouldn't they? Why wouldn't they just make it normal?
Right.
It's not tie your movement speed to FPS. It's such a weird game design flaw, especially in games like that where, you know, high frame rate on PC, you're gonna go fast.
Yeah, you're more than likely going to be over 60 frames, even if you're not really trying. See, that doesn't make any sense. And I'm trying to think of, obviously, it was not an air quotes port. I'm assuming it was natively built for both the console and the PC. I don't think they're cross-platform in any way, are they?
I don't think so, but I don't know how it was developed. So,
And then I don't think you can really fix that without rebuilding both games, or whichever version it is, because it's pretty deeply ingrained. I would assume movement speed and frames per second.
I'm guessing it's still capped at 60,
Right.
so that they don't have to deal with the problem.
Just easier.
They just hide the problem, so they don't have to deal with it.
Yeah, it's kind of whack. Bethesda, that was whack on that one, but they got.
I'll still buy Elder Scrolls 6
Yeah,
though.
still gonna buy it. Still gonna buy Elder Scrolls 6. I'll probably get Starfield just because. But I've kind of given up on the Fallout franchise after Fallout 4. It was fun, but it was definitely a take too far from the previous games. I was like, I don't know about that. I'm gonna pass. I probably won't. Well, obviously I didn't play 76, but I probably won't play any other Fallouts unless they're.
I'll play the mainstream ones. Just
back to normal,
because they're mostly normally good.
Yeah, they've been good, and then there was just one or two flops. But you can't have one or two flops and then not develop for 6 years. It's kind of
Halo.
At Halo.
At Halo.
Good transition. Halo with the
Not my
MCC.
Halo.
Oh, no.
Don't mess with us Halo fans. We hate Halo as much as you do.
But yeah, it's Infinite is delayed, right? I saw that.
Yeah, potentially till 21 holiday.
Because they just said we're delaying it till 2021. They didn't say what quarter, right? I'm assuming we won't hear about it until E3 of 2021, if that even happens.
They got a lot of work to do.
But,
and in my opinion, some of that work should be dropping support for Xbox One because stop developing a game for a 2013 console, and maybe you can make a better game.
Yeah, and they're also already, it was supposed to be a flagship for this current console, right? The one that's about to come out.
Yeah.
So I don't understand why they're backporting, air quotes, to the
Joseph Staten. Dude, that made me so hyped. I'm just reading your chat.
Yeah, I see that.
Yeah. Dude, Joseph Staten is like, I think I would put him somewhere above Marty O'Donnell, but just barely. Just barely.
I don't really know either of the two of those names, but they're the
Marty O'Donnell's the composer.
Lead composer / story people ? Or is the story guy somebody else?
Joseph Staten was the basically creative director.
Gotcha, creative director. That's what it was.
basically what it was, because he did a lot of stuff. He was like he just did everything with the story basically. He's amazing.
Yeah, I mean they
Absolutely.
were good. I played most of the stories. I don't know if I finished 2 or 3, but I played all of 1. I did play all the multiplayers, but
Mm-hmm.
I do know most of the stories from the games, and they are very good. It's a very interesting universe. I'm surprised that 4 and 5 were as bad as they were.
Well, the writer for 5 was
Yeah.
yeah.
I think it's a good concept. Like if you look at it alone, it's not that great.
Yeah,
But if they
that's what everyone says. If it wasn't a Halo game, it'd be good.
right. But I feel like in retrospect and a lot of the I think it's expanded universe stuff is really interesting and it makes more sense and it does a good job of fixing Halo 4 and Halo 5's story.
See, the problem with that is when you're required to like consume 8 different sources of media before you play a game to understand anything of what's going on in the game, no one's gonna understand what's going on in
Yeah.
your game. There's like
Most
3
people aren't.
people who do all that. Because like there were like 3 books you had to read to understand how we got from 4 to 5.
Instead of just DLC
Yeah,
for and then you
instead
get
of
to play it.
just explaining it.
Right.
Halo 4 I could stand. Halo 5 I couldn't. Other than the I thought the multiplayer was cool. I didn't like the advanced movement and the ADS stuff, but the multiplayer was pretty cool.
Right. I mean, there are people that like that, and it is geared towards the newer generation. The people are used to playing other games and not Halo games. So pulling that audience makes sense from a business standpoint, wanting to get a larger audience. But I don't necessarily think it detracts from the story. I mean, maybe a little bit, but you got to do something. You can't have the same formula forever. I mean, you could, but you wouldn't get any new people, and eventually your old people would be they wouldn't have time. Like I didn't have time to play 5. Never played it. And it's exclusively on console, so I have no reason to ever buy it. So
Even though there's been talks. I saw this actual uh, bad word. He posted on Twitter a hot take and put it in the Snapchat, saying that instead of MCC, they should have put Halo 5 on PC.
yeah, I saw that.
They would have had more concurrent players. And then called people playing MCC diehard fans. That's the only people still playing it. When in reality, more people play Halo 5 because they're diehard fans of Halo 5. There's no difference. Halo 5's been out for 6 years.
Yeah. And I played it
ish
0 times. I think.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever played Halo 5. I think I played Halo 4, but I don't think I've ever played Halo 5.
I bought it when the day it came out. I went to GameStop and I bought it. I don't think it was midnight release. Might have been. Bought it, played the campaign, solo legendary, returned it. I already tried the multiplayer in the beta. I knew what it was like. I knew I didn't really want to play it. Also, they had like 4 game modes at launch, which is just abysmal for a Halo game.
Yeah.
You have Halo Reach. Halo Reach launched with what, 12?
I think it was 12, yeah. And they were all good. I mean, there was a couple iffy ones, but
I didn't like the Fiesta game modes.
yeah.
Yo, just get MCC on PC. We'll play all.
You've only played the first one in 3 ODST. That's such a weird jump. Like you're playing. I mean, if you're gonna play any 2 independently, those would be the 2. The first one in the series and ODST because they are so different than the rest of them. And you also don't need to know the story of either one because the first one and also ODST is an aftermath, and you're playing different characters. I don't even think Chief's even in ODST, is he?
No.
Maybe like a scene where he's dead, or he wakes up. Maybe I don't know. I don't know if I've ever finished ODST or not either, but I enjoyed that one, and I liked the firefight. That was pretty cool. But yeah, if you're gonna play any 2, I guess those would be the 2 to play independently. So I guess I can't say you did a bad thing necessarily.
I mean, all but 4 and 5 are on. Well, ODST obviously isn't yet, but all but 4 and 5 are on PC now. So I mean,
And they're doing all of them, right?
all but 5, yeah.
Okay.
4 is the last one to come out. That'll come out once. That'll start flighting once ODST's out. I think they're still on track to get all of them out by the end of the calendar.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure they're actually ahead of schedule with that. Because ODST will come out sometime this month, I'm sure.
I think so. Yeah, I think it'll probably be next week because there's already patches for that beta that came out.
Yeah, and then they'll have 3 months to get 4 out, which is more than they normally have. Then I think I did the math on like how much time they'd have for each game. It was like 2 months ish.
Yeah.
So the fact that they have 3 months is they'll have it out by November, early December probably.
And I'm excited to play 4 again because it's been too long since I played it. But
I don't think I was ever a huge fan of 4, but I just want to play it again to try it.
Just I want to be able to play every game straight through and just see it all in one go because I've never done that. And 4, like I said, I played a little bit. I mostly played multiplayer. I don't think I really played the story on that one.
Yeah.
So playing that on PC would be cool.
For 4 wasn't terrible, but could have been better.
Could have been better.
Should we talk about something else now? Talk about games.
We're done hanging out with all of the Halo fans.
Yeah.
Other than
I got a couple more things, but if you got something, you can go ahead.
I mean, really, my main thing is any kind of current home network projects that you've been working on. I mean, I can start with my own because
I have.
I got a good thing to say, but. The collection.
Yeah, I say you've been doing a lot with VR stuff.
VR chat recently. I'm dropping most religiously played game Warframe. How is Warframe? Have you ever played that game? I've seen that game and I've seen a lot of people play that game, but I don't understand why.
Cool. Especially for a free game, it's really good. It's fun to play. I don't know. For home networking, I haven't done a ton of stuff. Pi-hole, OpenVPN, basic stuff. I haven't done too much, at least on that side. But I'm sure you have something.
Yeah, I have new internet, which is big bug.
Actual gigs yet?
I have the router coming on Wednesday, so it'll officially be good full tilt. Got the whole pipe filled up, Wi-Fi included. Because right now for Wi-Fi, it's capped at 250 or 300. I think I've done a few tests on my phone using both speedtest.com, Mediacom's internal speed test, which is don't ever use because if you're ISP, they're obviously going to boost that traffic regardless. Yeah. And also it's supposed to be a direct path, no ads, nothing else, nothing fancy on it. So on that one, I hit like 450, 500. I was like, there's no way. Because there's no way this router actually gives me that much boost. I mean, I can't look because they have it locked down, but I don't think they actually give me that boost. And then I also use Libre Speed. I don't know if you ever heard of it, but it's basically similar to, it's, I don't remember the people that made the project, but the idea is that it's generic traffic, like normal network traffic that just goes in and out. Like if you're surfing web pages or whatever, it just fills empty packets with random website data so that ISPs don't boost the speed test data that speed test and other major people use because they actually do that. And I know Mediacom does that. So Libre Speed uses actual website data packets to test your transfer speeds and your downloads and uploads. So it's real network traffic that's being pushed in and out. So the only issue is don't use that a lot if you have a low download upload cap, if you have any sort of metered connection or whatever, because it will use it up. Whereas speed test, I don't think actually uses real network traffic. It just tests the ping and latency. And then the average upload download speed you would have at the time of connection. So I've used that and I've hit 250 on my phone. I do have a gig connection wired, but my phone's still at like 250 or whatever. So the router, I don't remember the exact model, but it is a Nighthawk, compliant with 3.1 DOCSIC as well for modem connection. And
that's like the only one you can find now, 3.1. Yeah. But I couldn't find any of the 3.1s in stock.
It's pretty cheap. The modem was 118 and the router was 92 after taxes.
Considering you have to pay what, $12 a month
Yeah, it's
for
12 bucks a
rental,
month for that
you'd be
double
paying
package.
you'd be paying like what, 200, or not 200, like 120 something dollars a year just to have
Yeah,
a
it's
router
12
modem.
times 12, 144.
Yeah,
I mean, not counting any taxes or whatever else that they might
yeah. So you've
service
already
fees, but
in another like half a year or so, you'll have made your money back.
yeah. And then also you get improved Wi-Fi speeds. It's 3 bands of 5G from that router. So, and I think it has VLAN capability. If not, I have a switch
sure.
that can do that regardless. And then also you get actual access to your router to do any sort of port forwarding, or I think it might have some firewall configuration on it. Obviously, setting static addresses from there. You can set up your Pi-hole to be entire network based instead of just by computer. The modem has actual gig connection, and it has 2 separate LAN ports in it, so I can have 2 separate networks. I don't know if Mediacom gives me separate IP addresses or not, or if I have to have 2 separate networks with the same outbound IP. But
you can run your consolidated through the.
and Consolidated still does go through DSL, and it runs. I have both of them hooked up right now. So right now my consolidated network is my Pi-hole and my. Currently, it has Kali Pi on it, but I'm going to swap it back over to Raspbian to run Docker containers for the OpenVPN and what is that called? I feel like it's called WireGuard or NextGuard, something like that. It's a
WireGuard is like the better VPN.
Yeah, and I'm going to test between those two to see which one's better, what kind of connection I have from work to my home network and stuff like that. I mean, obviously it's going to go through a DSL line, so it's not that great of connection, but just for testing purposes, and also because currently Mediacom, I can't actually do anything on the router / modem side, so I can't even configure it if I wanted to. But so I have both of those set up. So on Wednesday, I'll actually have a real network with actual networking stuff, and then the Minecraft server will be brought over, and that will be set up, and should be by Friday. I think I'll have all of that, and obviously that'll be updated to 116.2. So anybody that pays for the server will be updated, and we'll have the newish version, and hopefully 117 will have a release date. So I think they're still doing early tests for that. But working on that, the Discord bot. Obviously, we still have some ideas. I have a new Discord bot idea, but that's secret, and we haven't finished that idea yet. But that will be worked on as well. And then I'm trying to think of something else that I had. Oh, obviously, I have that entire actual rack-mounted server that I've still yet to spin up, but I've gotten CentOS operating system on a flash drive, and I just need to find a hard drive that actually fits in that enclosure, and then it should be good to go. And then I don't know what I'm going to run on there. Probably just going to start with like a Minecraft server inside a Linux container, just because I want to see what kind of performance that has versus just a raw server on your Windows OS, just to see what the performance differences are. And then that's pretty much where I'm at this point. I think that's pretty much all of my notes for what I want to do for first projects. Obviously, in-game is have Docker containers for like 4 different Minecraft servers, and they're integrated with Discord bots and potentially Twitter and Twitch bots that are all integrated together, a website that hosts all of that information and databases and stuff like that. But
I mean, you can still use that at least for counting like basic how many players are on this server. You can still use that.
Right.
I'll get the link to that website for you.
And the big thing of the Dynamap, I want to be able to actually have HTTPS for the website and stuff. But the idea is have a website hosted, I don't know, on probably off the bat on that Windows server, because I know Windows and I'm used to using that for services. But once I get comfortable with Linux, probably that larger rack server will be the main workhorse of the website, because it can just contain that whole thing all by itself and pretty much be self-sufficient. But the idea is that website's going to be the main splash page for all of our content across, mainly my content, obviously, for Twitch and YouTube. Be links for that. The Discord, the Minecraft stuff will have all their own separate sub air quotes on domain. They don't necessarily have to be different website links inside that whole thing. But that's my general idea for my first large scale project. And then, of course, I'll slowly build out from that for things in my own home network for better Wi-Fi, different not webcams, but security cameras, network traffic analyzers.
I was watching
pen testing stuff.
I was watching Linus's video where he did speakers in every room of his house.
I saw that he did that, but I don't think I've watched it yet.
Once I get an actual house, I'll do a lot more because I definitely want to do security cameras. I want to do some stuff with the Ring because I think their stuff is cool.
Yeah.
That or Google Nest, whatever it's called. They have like a doorbell thing, I think.
I think Nest is probably the better way to go for future proof because I mean Google's just a bigger company than Ring, and there's a good chance that Ring might get bought out by somebody. Whereas I don't think Google is gonna be bought out by anybody. So at the very least of firmware, Google. But Google will buy themselves out.
They can buy out Google. No, I want to do a lot with security cameras and especially like just anything automated.
Right.
Like I want to be able to. I like the idea of like the Raspberry Pi video that we watched forever ago in Innovation, where he clapped his hands and the blinds raised.
Yeah.
I want to have that, but like look clean
and be used for other things instead of just blinds as well.
Mm-hmm.
Like stopping and starting recording on the cameras, potentially like an Alexa or something similar being activated for different reasons, different automations for that.
Yeah. I just want to have smart home.
Right. But a DIY smart home, not just
DIY.
like smart home products placed around your house that are all connected to a hub.
Yeah. I also want to be able. I don't know if I'd do that if I moved into an apartment, just because I want to be able to.
You have to tear it down eventually.
Yeah, I want to be able to get a house and put my own ports in.
Right. Because with the apartment, you would have to build it to be taken down, so nothing would be permanent, and you'd have to add that in mind, where you can't just drill a hole in the wall, or you can't run this cable through here because you only have one connection and you can't go anywhere else. You have to be in a certain room and you got to be a certain noise level. You can't just have cameras pointing at other people's apartment doors. So having external cameras is pretty iffy, which obviously I'm not going to say if I do or not, because it's not 100% legal to just have a camera facing people driving in and out of a shared parking lot. So things like that, where at your house you own the entire property, so anybody that comes on there, it's like, what are you doing? I can legally have footage of you on my property if I want, and I didn't invite you here. Whereas with an apartment, it's like we all share this space, so me having that camera, somebody else would be like, hey, I don't want to be filmed, and then I can't have that camera anymore.
Yeah.
But anything inside, you could do perfectly fine. I mean, it's still, you can't have a permanent setup for anything.
No.
And also the issues of not necessarily latency but crosstalk from everybody else with Wi-Fi connections. If you have Wi-Fi cameras, is pretty bad. Like literally, I turn on my phone and there's 35 connections that I can reach that have more than 2 bars. I can actually reach Clayton Young's Wi-Fi connection wherever he is at on campus, and I think I have 1 bar, maybe 2. But I'm not sure how close or far away he is from me. But I saw that his name was in that list. I was like, what? Because I didn't think he
on the other side of campus.
Yeah, I didn't think he was that close. So there's a lot of people. I mean, I do live across the street from campus, next to a lot of the dorm rooms. So, to be fair,
no, that's just stuff for when I get a house.
Right. But yeah, with a house, you have 35 plus feet on all sides past your walls of your house that nobody else is in. So the likelihood of crosstalk and issues of being on the same band is pretty low. to pretty much none, especially if you configure your network properly. Nobody should be going outside of their home regardless. You should be able to dial that in if you know what you're doing, which that's my favorite thing to see. All of the Panther and other generic name gateway number 1 through 25. That's my favorite thing. It's like, how do you know which one's your network? Like, obviously, you just got whatever one is given to you by your landlord, and you're just like, okay, it says I'm number 23. And it's like, come on. And then half of them still have generic passwords. Not that I've logged into any of them or anything. But it's like, what are you? You gotta think a little bit. This is the 21st century. You're a college kid. You should know at the very least what Wi-Fi connection is and how to secure that. I feel like that's almost a generic. I know I'm expecting too much because I'm a network admin and I took a security class, but I think that is a pretty simple thing that you should know about by the time you get to college, because you're using Wi-Fi every day, regardless of if you're connected to somebody's network or you're just on LTE or 5G or 4G. That's still internet connection. You should still understand what you're connecting to and how to secure yourself on that. I don't expect everybody to know how VPNs work or pay for a VPN, because half the time it doesn't matter if somebody can see you browsing the internet or not. That isn't something you should know.
Accessing your banking info from
Right.
a public college network.
Yeah, you shouldn't.
First place.
Shouldn't be doing. Yeah. So there's things like that I want to configure for my own network correctly. And obviously Boston doesn't understand a word of what I'm doing and thinks I'm just wasting money and my time on it. But I'm like, at the end of the day, this is better for both of us, because there are people out there that know how to skim that data from us and can use that to sell information, and then eventually we'll get serviced an ad that, for whatever reason.
Good transition to Razer.
So yeah, there's things like that you gotta have, and you should know, regardless if you're a net admin or any other IT major, even programming major. A lot of those guys probably know similar concepts, but yeah, it's something generic, and that reminds me that I do have to fix my pie hole. But
Rickroll an entire apartment complex.
That is doable. It's pretty easy to do, really.
Yeah.
If you have a pie hole set up and you just configure it for their router, that's their primary DNS, and then you just traffic any information, like even if it's just one website. It's like, oh, I noticed that they use TikTok, whatever domain. I don't know exactly what domain name it is, and you just redirect that to Rickroll. I mean, that'd be pretty funny. Wouldn't be half bad prank. But equally, I don't know how legal that is, because technically you are entering somebody else's domain or network, but you used the default username and password to log into their router. So how liable are you?
I don't think it's the
for that.
Can do it. That's the idea of saying that I robbed a bank because I could.
Right.
Because I had the passcodes and I had the card to get in.
They gave me access. Well, the thing is that they invited me to their house and I stole from them. That's still illegal. But I was given access to their house and I replaced their toilet paper with Donald Trump's face. That's not illegal, right? That's the same concept. That's what I'm trying to say. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
It's not me defending.
I'm not a lawyer, so I don't understand the legal implications of going in an apartment complex. But...
Right. But people are taking, oh, he hacked into my network and he hacked into my phone and made me go to this website. No, I didn't. It's the same concept of me going into your house and moving your underwear drawer down one drawer. That's not me ruining your life and stealing your information. That's just me pranking you and moving your stuff around. I didn't steal anything. I just moved it to somewhere you weren't expecting it to be. I mean, I guess you could say you are denying somebody's service, which I know DDoSing is a crime, because you're trying to go to this location, but you're not because somebody else changed that.
Yeah.
So that's the gray area that you're in, is how, is that considered DDoS or is that just considered a funny prank? I don't know. But that's the thing, is nobody does know. You're right. Nobody has to know. But equally, I don't think a lot of people do know. They don't know if that is illegal or not.
It's kind of a gray line still.
Personally, I don't think it is. I don't think it's illegal to do that, but that's just me.
On the actual legal side, it's a gray line. Like I can see that it's not really. Yeah, exactly. I can see that it's not really it's not a crime, in my opinion, to if you have access and you're not like stealing people's data or anything.
If you were handed access, like they said, here's my Wi-Fi username and password to get internet connection, that's fine. But if you're using like Kali Linux and you're brute forcing the password information and cracking hashes of people's passwords and skimming data.
Because some people you could look at it in the sense that like, they found my key under my carpet on the porch and they walked into my house.
Right.
Like that's
technically they weren't invited.
Yeah.
Right.
So I mean it's kind of, I can see comparing it to that, but also it's not the same thing. It's not the same thing as home invasion.
Right.
But it depends on how you look at it, and also none of the politicians actually know anything about it, so it doesn't matter.
So you're gonna say, "Oh, you broke in, you hacked. Hacked is bad." But 2/3 of the time, yeah,
hacker, that man, officer.
2/3 of the time, it's not even a hack. Like a lot of the stuff that I like read on the Security Weekly blog, and all of the different like databases have been leaked or your information has been stolen. It's like, yeah, but that was somebody internal that already had login information anyways, and then to just grab the information and sold it. They never hacked into anything. They never broke anything. They were just given access to it and decided to sell it to somebody else.
Go to hacker jail.
And then everybody's like, "Oh, these guys are the greatest hackers of all time." I'm like, they didn't hack a single thing. They wouldn't even consider themselves a hacker. They're like, "Yeah, I do hacking on the side, but all I had to do was grab this guy's sticky note on the side of his desktop that says this is my username and password to log in."
Yeah.
Like, I didn't actually have to do anything. So that's why I find it interesting that people are, when you do phishing and people are saying, "Oh, I got hacked." It's like, no, you didn't. You just gave away your information. That's not, they didn't actually have to do anything on a computer. Like,
they didn't have to brute force.
Right. They didn't have to do anything technical. There was no expertise involved other than just saying, "Hey, give me your password," in a roundabout way.
Yeah.
So I always find that interesting whenever I'm reading articles about databases and users being hacked, especially the Twitter one. The Twitter one's my favorite. That people are like, "Oh, this guy's like the greatest hacker of our generation." It's like, what are you talking about? He just called 3 or 4 people at Twitter and like, "Hey, I've heard you guys have admin panel access and can access people's DMs. You know what we should do is we should break in and try and get Bitcoin from people."
Yeah.
And they're like, "Yeah, okay, I'm down." There was no hacking involved.
$2 million from that.
Yeah,
though.
They made some cash. I think they've
like
all been caught, but
oh yeah, all of them caught, but
they made
$2 million.
Yeah, so somebody out there still has $2 million.
Another Google form, yeah. Like the definition of hacker has been like misconstrued for years.
Yeah,
because it used to be not a bad thing.
Yeah, it was useful because, oh, I can't get in, so somebody hack into this to let me back into it.
Yeah, or someone you're like, I'm gonna hack this and make it better.
Right.
You know, it was more of a DIY innovation type term, but now it's like evil computer man.
Yeah. Not that I'm trying to defend people that actually hack other people and ruin people's lives. I'm not about that either. But
I will say, Jesse, there have been a ton of phishing emails. Crazy amount, like recently, where it's like on-campus job opportunity, $350 a week. We've been getting a lot of those. So,
and that's the problem.
Yeah, you definitely have a problem with that.
That's a problem from probably your website that gave out a email account at whatever panther.edu or whatever your domain name is. And then all I have to do is just guess kids' names. Just like, oh, here's a generic John Smith at whatever.edu. That's all they have to do.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not stupid enough to fall for a phishing email offering a part-time opportunity on campus. That's the only ones that we get. Literally, that's the only phishing emails that get sent out.
Yeah, but
and also, when they
caught.
send out, also nobody sends out campus-wide emails unless there's staff. So there's that.
Yeah, but
it's pretty easy to see that it's a scam, but
some people don't, man. Some people don't get it. they don't get what a scam is. Like, oh, job opportunity just came out of the blue into my Panther email. Of course I'm going to jump on that.
I'm clicking this.
What? Like, if you were not expecting a job offer, why would you even click on it?
Yeah, I just don't.
Whatever.
I don't. Oh, I know staff gets phished. Staff, 100%. I have no doubts that staff gets
Those are
phished.
probably the worst because at least college kids are like, yeah, I've been with technology my entire life. I know when somebody's trying to scam me. Whereas staff, it's like, I don't even know what a keyboard is. I didn't even know that this monitor wasn't the computer. So it's like those people are the most vulnerable, and they're the people with the most access. It's whack.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of dumb. But yeah,
I will say one thing that we're looking into at work now is DDoS protection from a couple of different places, because apparently that's been happening a lot of DDoSing.
Yeah.
Not sure why, but it's just kind of happening.
I understand from a practical sense to DDoS somebody in order to have a better connection, but when you're DDoSing the destination, it doesn't make any sense. Other than you're just bored or you don't want to go to school that day. Or in the case of a bank, what's the gain of having a bank go down for a couple hours? Other than people don't get a financial thing processed for another day.
To drop their market price, maybe if they go down for a day. Missing out on a lot of big transactions.
Yeah, but it's still.
I also don't see the point of it. It wouldn't make that big of a difference for it to go down. I think it's more so just a statement, I guess.
Right.
Because I mean, a lot of hackers, I don't think there are necessarily malicious, and they just genuinely want people to have better security. So I mean, if you have to hack someone for a day to get that point across, then
Yeah. Yeah, that one doesn't make much sense. DDoSing in general doesn't make sense to me because you're just ruining.
It's easy. You just hire people to do it. It's not even a hack at this point. They literally have botnets that you can pay for. You rent them out, and you can have them DDoS an IP.
Which those guys are dope. The people that made botnets, those are real hackers out there. They actually infected your machine and you got owned.
Yeah. Not the people that are paying them to use the bot.
Which are the people that get all the recognition, which is the worst part. I mean, again, not saying that actual hackers need to have a better platform, but it is kind of lame whenever your project gets washed out because some random kid paid for it.
Yeah.
And then completely ruins your entire thing because they used it like an idiot and got caught. And then
so
now your product is gone.
Yeah. Oh.
But that's enough hacker tech talk on the old networking end. I think we could probably end on some smartphone stuff because it is the quarter for smartphone things, isn't it?
Absolutely, smartphone stuff. Xiaomi.
Yeah.
Their phone, their Mi 11 that has the under-screen camera, supposedly releasing next year.
This time next year or
early 21. Early 21.
Cool.
So probably first or second quarter. That's hype.
Yeah, I don't know much about Xiaomi, and I don't know very many YouTubers that do reviews on them because I don't think Marcus does a lot. I think Casey Neistat had done one on one of them a couple years ago, but I don't think Linus really does phone reviews ever.
Linus did a few for a stretch. He did a stretch of phone reviews, but
and then I don't follow anybody else, especially not in the smartphone space.
He kind of goes in phases,
right?
Where he does like a huge like stretch of phone. I think he does them in like one. He gets like a lot and then does a lot of reviews.
Yeah.
I remember he had like 7 in a pretty short amount of time.
Yeah, that's why I even said his name is because at one point I know he did a lot of them. But so yeah, that's something I have not seen. Unbox Theory, I forget about those guys. Those guys do a lot of smartphone and a lot of smaller devices. They don't do like high end computer review. They do more of like handheld stuff. right?
Yeah.
And they do a
Yeah.
lot of different things. Like they do shoes, they do clothes, they do sports stuff too. I don't think they're just tech. I don't think, right?
I don't think so. I don't think they're just.
But
I'm not sure.
I don't know if they've done one on a
They
Xiaomi
just do
phone or not.
general unboxings, I think, because they've done anywhere from that weird gaming rig where it's like the chair and you look up,
Oh yeah, yeah.
the call it circumferential gaming setup, which was really cool. They do that all the way to like the headphones, like the wireless earbuds. So I mean, they do everything.
So I don't know. They might have done a Xiaomi phone, or they will do one. I don't know, but
I'm sure a lot of people will do this one because this is the first underscreen camera ever.
yeah, that's pretty big. Underscreen camera and underscreen touch sensors are, are probably the new wave. I think Apple's trying to go that way too, from what I've been reading. But
Underscreen touch has been around for a little while though. It's been around for a hot minute.
well, the question is, has Samsung or Apple done it?
Yeah, Apple has it. Nothing.
Nope. They're still working on it. They want it to be on the 12, but they don't have an underscreen.
Samsung has done it though. Samsung has the Note 20 at least has it. I think the Galaxy whatever has it, but
Because that's my point. If Samsung and Apple haven't done it, then it's never been done before and has never existed, and people don't know that's a thing.
yeah.
So once they pick it up,
Apple is literally so far behind right now.
right? But once they pick it up, people realize that it is a good idea, and it will be advanced a lot quicker. But
I hate that they play it so safe.
Yeah.
The only thing that they actually like go hard on is 5G. Everyone did 5G as soon as they could. It's just annoying to me that that's the feature that everyone jumped on.
When we don't have the infrastructure to do it.
Yeah.
2/3 of the country doesn't even have connection to a stable 2.4 band connection, or even low tier 1, 2G. Yeah. But you got Silicon Valley and you have mainland China and Japan. Yeah. They have 5G. So everybody should have it.
Yeah.
I mean, that's where the major market is. So it makes sense from a business standpoint, once again, that you play to where your market is.
Yeah.
But for scalability, it's pretty trash. Pretty bad. In my opinion. But
just no one was prepared for it. Everyone jumped on the 5G train for no reason.
It's a good piece.
But city, yeah. Because there's a good chance that your city probably has 5G support. 5G is cool.
Yeah, I think if Starlink picks it up, I think that's where the real innovation is. If Elon Musk put 5G on his Starlink satellites, I think that's way better than spending the whatever $2 billion U.S. Budget for 5G across the entire nation.
Budget phone.
Yeah, and then have 3 phones that actually have proper capability for it. So I think if Starlink did it and just cut out the whole infrastructure of we got to put up towers every X amount of feet for people to actually stay connected, and then it would become not necessarily exclusive, because obviously you could spend the time to slowly build the 5G network from the ground, and there would still be a market there, but that would really help Starlink have a reason to exist, because right now it's a pretty trash idea where you only get everybody's connected to the same, air quotes, LTE connection at, I think it's a gigabyte, but it's by node. So anybody in this radius, you all get 1 gigabyte connection. So if there's 5,000 people in there, you're all sharing that 1 gigabyte connection on your phone or whatever.
It's
other
like
device.
the concept that they do for like the phone providers do, where it's like, if you live in a really high traffic area and you go over a certain data threshold, we're just going to slow you down.
Yeah.
Which it doesn't make much sense to me.
So if you're using it, just let them use it.
Yeah.
They're obviously a power user. That's the whole point of your network, is to allow data
to flow.
It's a really
low threshold for mobile.
Right.
Especially with how hard they market, like, oh, we have 1080p Ultra HD 4K streaming to your device. You get free Netflix for a year if you get Verizon.
But it gets capped in about 30 minutes.
20 gigabytes, so you watch 30 minutes of Netflix and you're capped.
And then you're out. You get nothing.
You watch Cuties, and then there's your data cap.
I did talk about cuties at the beginning of the stream, and I already said that
I'm not going to talk
I
about
didn't
it.
want to talk about it because I saw the trending hashtag this morning, and I was like,
I wasn't going to talk about it, but I was going to make the joke.
Yeah, you got to make the joke. I mean,
but
if you're gonna do something like that, you gotta expect backlash, and you gotta also expect jokes, because don't be mad that we're making jokes about it.
yeah,
Yes, it's insensitive and probably wrong, but you gotta laugh about it at the same time. We're not laughing at the fact that there are the children that are doing this. We're laughing at the fact that Netflix thought this was a good idea.
yeah. But for phones, I know I will probably be picking that up if it does come out before next summer. The Xiaomi, because Colton had a Xiaomi, he liked his.
Yeah, I think the Xiaomi is a solid option. I wouldn't say it's a good, first party. I mean, Xiaomi is a very large company and are respected, but I don't think it's a good replacement for a Samsung, an Apple, or a Google phone necessarily, especially in this area.
It's just that, like, for what I want, as a very specific like phone user, what I have a specific things of like list of things that I want for my phone to have if I'm going to pay a price for it. I want the full screen with very little bezel around the outside. I don't want a notch, and I don't want a camera dot. That's just ugly. I don't like it. I want the under-screen fingerprint sensor, and I want the wireless charging.
Yeah.
None of these phones have all of those things.
Imagine that being a lot to ask for in a smartphone.
Yeah. Yeah. Basic features that at least that phones have at least one of them.
Yeah.
Like Apple has the wireless charging at least. They don't have anything else. They got like 4-inch bezels.
Huge.
And a notch that is basically just send it the full way.
Yeah.
Then you have Samsung that has the wireless charging and the under-screen fingerprint sensor, but they got that nice little camera dot in the top left. So no. And Google, I don't even know what Google's doing.
Currently they're working on the 4A, which has 5G connection. I believe it has the under-screen touch.
Ugh.
And I think the 4A. I know the 5A does, but I think the 4A.
I don't think the 4A has the under-screen.
I know the 4A is the cheaper, actually worth your money option, but I think the 5A is under for sure. And then there's some sort of resolution and refresh rate improvements on both of those. I mean, I don't think they're more than 75, but
the thing is, if you pay $200, I get a 1080 screen on a phone, on a foreign brand phone. I pay $500 and I get what, a 480 screen on an iPhone XR.
Yep.
It's imbalanced.
And you can record at 4K, 120 frames a second on an XR, but what you're actually looking at is no more than 1080 at best. And that's on a good day.
It doesn't make sense to me how it's so imbalanced as to where Apple stuff is Apple, not even just Apple and Samsung. They got all this stuff that's not even as advanced as what's happening overseas, but it's like 4 times the price.
And they still sell more.
They still sell more because no one's like no one looks for that. And also, you know, everyone hates foreign brands.
Right. Because that's the crazy part.
It's built on foreign manufacturing.
Right. When you don't have any innovation, so you're making it be more expensive for a worse product, but then still being able to sell more.
Yeah, because you own the market.
I think you could actually get away with lowering the price on those items to be equal to what you're buying overseas, sell more, because the people that are holding out because it's so expensive and you aren't actually improving anything, you would get more people in your market if you were to lower the price.
Yeah, you already have Apple, Samsung own the market. It was hard enough for, I think, Google even to get into that. It took them, what, 3 generations of phones before people started taking them seriously?
The 3A was people were like, oh, Google can actually make something. But also it was the Android market in general were like, hey, Oxygen OS isn't actually that bad, and Google is pretty good at making phones. I mean, obviously, Apple people are like, I don't use Android, so it doesn't matter. But The Android people are like, it's actually decent.
It's like a huge company to even breach into that, and it took them years to breach into the market, the mainstream market. Google, it took Google 3 generations of phones to break into a market. That shows how hard it is for people to get in. And then you're talking about buying phones from overseas. That's just not even going to happen.
Nope.
No one knows what Xiaomi is. No one knows what Honor phones are, especially now that they have that import ban, where they have to make their own app store. You know, no one's looking at all these other phones that are actually making cool innovations for an affordable price. They're looking at Apple and Samsung that sell a $1,300 phone that still has a camera dot on it.
Because it's what they know. And they know it's going to work for what they've been using their entire life. They know that when they upgrade, it's going to be the same, which is the stupidest thing I've ever heard. Whenever you upgrade, it should not be the same. You shouldn't expect anything bad to happen, like a glitch that breaks the phone.
Experience.
That's okay.
I don't have the same experience. I upgrade for a new experience and a better experience. That's why it's called upgrading.
Yeah. And I'm all for you have the iPhone 6 and you physically can't use the device anymore. They've stopped signing updates for your iOS. You got to update. So then you update to the newest phone. That makes sense. But if you have an iPhone X, even an iPhone 8, and you go to the 11 or even the 12, you're not. That's a bad move. You're
because it's overpriced for an upgrade.
Overpriced for a slightly better camera and a larger display. I don't even think there's much else.
To like, oh, a camera, it's so good. Who cares? Get a camera if you want a camera.
You're posting the same pictures on Instagram, regardless, because you're going to put filters on them. The quality will not be any different. Because the whole point of the multiple cameras is for zoom distances and resolution. But your phone is still outputting the same exact resolution regardless. So even though your camera has more
pictures of the video.
Yeah. But it's not.
I just don't get it. I don't know why people's main feature they want on a phone is the camera to be good. I will never understand that. You could get rid of the entire front camera, and that's like $200 off. $200 off a phone.
Right.
That you could spend on better performance, more RAM. Apple especially needing more RAM. Because their budget iPhone X has what, 3 gig? The XR has 3 gig of RAM. It's pathetic. My $200 China phone has 4. And it has a 1080 screen, and it doesn't have bezels that are 4 inches thick. And it has a tinier notch.
Let's not even go into tablets having better cameras. Like the new iPad has the same camera as the iPhone 12. Who's taking pictures with a 5 to 12-inch screen? You look stupid. Geez. Regardless of how good the quality is, you look stupid when you're doing that. It's like, what are you doing? Just grab your phone, take the same picture. That's going to have the same quality, and it's way easier to do. That's what I don't understand about the iPads. I would have bought an iPad a long time ago if they would have decided to never put a camera on it ever again.
I just don't see the point of a tablet having a camera anyway unless it's the front-facing one even.
That's why I'm looking at that new Microsoft tablet fold thing, because it doesn't have a camera. There's no camera. There's a camera on the inside, I believe. I believe there's a camera on one of the displays. But I've thought about buying that for a hot second, and then I realized that it doesn't have any good apps, and it's not worth my time because all it is Office and basic Microsoft stuff. So unless I'm using it for work, which I won't be, there's no point for me to use it. I think it's probably the best tablet that you could get because they decided, why do we need a camera? There's no point to that. But the software isn't quite there yet to be, you can't flip it around and use keyboards on one side, have multiple displays. It's just like you're having two phones that are connected together. It's not there yet, but I think it's the best one if you're going to actually invest in that group. I think that's probably the best one. But yeah, full phone's kind of whack. But
grow their app library over time.
Yeah, I think so.
They're just now breaking into that, so I mean,
I mean, a lot of Microsoft stuff, it's the Microsoft Store, but a lot of it's productivity based. There's not a lot of fun or entertainment in the Microsoft Store because it's the same store as what's on Windows. So you're not really getting Snapchat. You're not getting
desktop apps.
Instagram. You're just getting like Todoist or LibreOffice. Obviously not, but Microsoft's any of their stuff.
More of like a Surface kind of.
Yeah, I think it's the Surface model. Like it's the same naming ish, but it's just a folded phone instead of the Surface tablet. But it's on the same line. It's like a merger of a phone and the Surface. Almost Surface computers, but they're almost at now. But
I like the Surface 2-in-1s, or they're called. I think they're cool.
They're probably the best for even to buying in a laptop. I think they're probably better if you're primarily doing note taking and productivity.
Laptop specs. I mean,
yeah.
It's like buying the Dell 2-in-1, except you're getting, in my opinion, better functionality out of the Surface.
Yeah, and it's in tablet-ish form, so you can carry it more places. It's a lot lighter than the rest. So I think it's probably the best way to go. But as for solid phone upgrades, I don't think I will be doing any this coming season.
I think if I do anything, it'll be the Mi 11 or it'll be 7 OnePlus Pro, 7 Pro. But it doesn't have what I want in it, so.
Right.
Or everything that I want, because it doesn't have wireless charging. Don't know why. I don't think the 8 has it either, so.
Doesn't make much sense. Wireless charging is like...
That's the main feature.
It's a given at this point, I think.
The only thing I really give up out of that is the notch. But I don't want to have to give that up,
right?
Because it's a basic. So I think the Mi 11 is probably everything that I want out of a phone. So if they do end up releasing it this year and it's affordable to me, then I'll buy it.
Yeah.
But let's see.
So to give history on my upgrades on phones, I started with a 5S. 2 years later, I got the 6. So the generation was already 7 going to 8 when I got the 6. I broke the 6 in about 4 months, and I bought the 6S Plus, and then I had that for 4 years until this last year for my birthday. I got the iPhone XR. So I've only had 4 phones, and each one has been 2 or 3 generations behind already. And I'm still on the XR, and I will probably stay here for probably 2 generations until 5G is actually viable. I don't think I'm going to switch. Not that 5G is worth switching, but I just think in general, especially Apple, upgrading, if 5G isn't a part of it, and hopefully by then they'll have the wireless charging will be good, they'll have the no notch, they'll have the touch under screen, all of that stuff will finally be all on one device, at least in Apple, regardless of the fact if there's other better innovations that I could be buying, at least then I would have a good reason to be using the Apple upgrade. Yeah. Unless of course by that time there is another phone that is actually worth buying that has majority features and would be something worth paying for, because the XR, it works for everything that I use it for. It works. The only thing I wish I had was faster speeds, and of course having better refresh rate and better screen resolution are cool, but they're not worth the $500 or $600 to buy a new phone, because that would be the only reason why I would do it right now. So for me, it's faster speeds and then a better looking screen and a better feeling of when you're using the screen. That's what I use it for. So
I thought that I wouldn't care about screen resolution, and then I got what is the resolution? It's like 24 or something by 1080. I can't go back. Like, I had it on a 720 screen, 720p basically. And I finally upped it to a 1080p because you can swap back and forth, so you can go full HD. I went full HD 6 months ago, and I haven't been able to go back to HD.
It's a different experience. Like, you don't think it would be, but it's the same concept of with gaming, where it's if you're on 4K and you're playing in 4K, even watching a video at 1080 doesn't look good.
It was weird enough for me when I switched from 4K to normal 1080 gaming. Because I played on 4K for the longest time.
Even if you're watching like the same, like if you're watching a movie, the same movie on your 4K monitor, low refresh rate, high resolution at 4K, and then go into your TV that is a larger screen, better sound, surround sound system, and a better air quotes, better visual experience as a whole on your couch, more comfortable, it isn't as good of an experience because of that resolution. So I think that is a major thing that should be shifted, is that when you're upgrading a phone, the resolution has to be better regardless. And obviously refresh rate does help, but at a certain point refresh rate doesn't matter. It's just the fidelity of moving in and out of apps. As long as I don't notice frame tearing or slowdown when I'm using my phone, it doesn't matter. Like it can be, I'm assuming it's 60 hertz display on my XR. I don't know 100%, but I think it's the same. But things like that, it's like it doesn't, those are what would make me move, regardless of notches versus hole punches versus no bezel versus the home button versus no home button, or touch ID or face ID, or even a better camera or a worse camera. It's pretty much speeds and user interface that make me move anywhere.
Mine is obviously the main three that I said, and then also I want better performance. I don't want to downgrade to less than 4 gigabytes of memory now that I've had a phone with 4
Right.
Because I know what that's like, and I don't want to have to downgrade. I don't want to downgrade anything when I upgrade a phone, because I shouldn't have to settle when I'm buying a new phone, especially if it's for a premium price.
And a lot of them, it's not even like there's a patent on an idea. Like, I mean, I know Apple's trying to get patents for the no bezel and the under screen full display option, so you have the full bottom of your display. The camera stuff, they're trying to get patents on that. I'm assuming Google has patents on their app development and other things. But for the most part, I don't think anybody has a patent on a notch or a no notch or an under screen touch. I mean, obviously, you're probably buying the screen itself. That technology is patented by somebody, but I don't think that is owned by a phone company. I'm pretty sure that's just a manufacturer that anybody could buy. I don't think it's necessarily tied down, if that makes any sense. So it's possible to have all of those things in one phone. It's just nobody is doing it because it's cost too much money, or they don't have enough room in a phone at the current form factor to fit all of that, which I'm assuming that might be the case, is all of the components you got to put inside the phone does not fit the current form factor that people are willing to buy and own. Which I think that's why the fold phones probably are going to be bigger pushes, because that effectively doubles your room for the hardware.
See, I can't stand fold phones.
I think they look terrible, and I would not want one, but
functionality is terrible because you're holding it like a book.
Yeah.
I hate the idea of a fold phone. Just like I hate the idea of phones that have a screen on the back, which is what I've seen people respond to for having no selfie camera. You just flip it around, you can take a picture, but that's terrible. I do not like the idea of that, because I feel like even if there's the software that prevents you from accidentally touching it with the back of your hand, it's the same thing with how phones still have the problem with auto rotate.
Yep.
Where you're watching a video, you're laying down, maybe you rotate it just a little
bit, just enough.
It's that same idea where if you accidentally move your hand in a certain way, it'll activate the screen on the back, and then you're messing with stuff on the back of the screen. It's not refined. It's also not really viable, in my opinion, to have a screen the entire way around.
Yeah, it's the wrong way to go if you're going to innovate. I think it's an interesting idea, and of course somebody has to explore it to fill the market, but I don't think it's the way to go. And at the very least, it's not something that people will go to until eventually, maybe, when all the other phone companies are doing it anyways.
All these back-end quick and dirty solutions to full screen, no notch, where you have your motorized camera, right? You have your magnetic sliding mechanism where the entire back of your phone slides. You have the Asus the Zen phone that has like an entire camera that just I don't know if you've seen it, where it like sits on the back of the phone like this, and then when you want to take a selfie, it flips.
Weird.
There's a notch in the back of the phone that holds the camera. When you want to take a selfie with a selfie, just flips, and it's motorized, so you can adjust the angle of where it's at. That's gonna break.
Yeah.
All that stuff's gonna break because it's a moving part.
You're going to accidentally do it while it's in your pocket, and it's going to bend, and then it's not going to work ever again.
It's just I don't like that people are having to come up with all these stupid solutions to a problem that you could solve by investing more time and money into an under-screen camera. We're moving towards anyway. You know, I don't see the point of trying to fix a problem temporarily.
Yep. Just take the time, do it right. You don't need to do a yearly phone release necessarily. I mean, yes, you can make the money, and everybody else is doing it. So if you don't do it, you will lose out on the market, and people will stop buying you because that's just how consumerism works. But
People
I don't.
can get away. You go ahead. Go ahead.
I don't think Apple has to invest 24% or like 100% of their company on the iPhone 12 versus the iPhone 11. The very little has been changed from that. So I think you could probably scale back your creators and be like, this is the iPhone 12 that we're developing, but majority of our company is working on the 13 or 14, and not unveil whatever it is, but then you're still in the market share. You're still developing the same phone that you were going to anyways, but you're beginning earlier production on future phones to enable better quality of those phones and potentially better upgrades. And I think everybody else could do that too. I'm just using Apple as an example, but I think everybody could do the same thing.
Say that Apple is like the only one who can get away with the yearly upgrades because they have that whatever it's called, the trade-in program.
Yeah.
You literally you get a new phone every year.
And it's actually a good price, I think.
Yeah, I didn't know about it for the longest time, but when I started actually looking into it, like it's not a terrible price for a subscription-based phone service, but I'm also not in the market for having to change phones every year,
right?
And then also pay a monthly service fee for a phone. But in the long run, if you're Apple person and you like having a new phone every year,
and you're already buying the most expensive phone every year, anyways.
The iCloud is good enough to where you won't have to. You just sign in.
Right.
It's kind of that concept where you can just sign in to any phone and you have everything you need. But I'm not super into that yet. Maybe that'll be an option for me at a later date, but I just don't feel like paying a subscription service for a phone.
Yep.
It's not my cup of tea.
It's not premium anymore, so you shouldn't be paying the premium price. I think everybody's finally starting to actually catch up. So it's not 100% worth. I mean, they're still good product, and I still vouch for people to buy them because they are solid options, and they do really well, especially in our area. All of the different providers, they have solid connections. They have good speeds. The price is pretty good. But I think that's pretty much
$35 a month. So that is a very premium price.
Yep.
So starting from, it's got a little 2 next to it, so I know it's we're gonna available.
All right, but I think we're gonna take potentially a quick break so I can run to the bathroom, and then I'll come back and complain about Windows. But
yeah,
unless you don't want me to complain about Windows, and then we can just be done.
I will say we've gone almost 2 hours.
Yeah.
So if you want to save it for the next one, we can.
I think so. I think that'll be all right. We can always complain about it later because it's still affecting us. It hasn't been resolved yet, so.
It's always viable to complain about Windows.
Yep. But I think that'll do it for the first episode of Tech Talk and the talk show in general. I think it's pretty good. Obviously, we'll do overlay. Will look better in the future, and other people will eventually join in. But
we'll actually in time constraints next time.
Yeah, and potentially won't do it at 10 a.m. Who knows? But I think that pretty much pretty much covers it for today. I appreciate everybody that's come in the chat. There's not very many people currently watching.
We peaked at like 8, 7 or 8.
I think there's 1 or 2 actual viewers and a couple bots that are chillaxing in there, but that's all right. We are we're okay with that. Yeah, we're an hour 32 on recording, but 2 hours and 34 on stream. So yeah, I think that's solid solid stream. So you want to plug anything, Spencer, before we go?
Nah, I got nothing to plug. Twitter's dead.
Twitter's dead.
Twitter's dead. I don't stream, and I don't put YouTube videos up anymore. So, check out Sydney's Twitter. His Twitter's funny.
Yeah, check out City's Twitter. You'll see Spencer on here, and that's about the only content he makes right now. So I think that's pretty solid. No announcement on when the next talk will be because nobody else is responding to my
Everyone
yeah, at everybody
responded.
else. So the schedule's out there. We're still working on it. I don't think I'm gonna do any other streams today. I think that'll do it. But I will be on tomorrow for game stream. Don't know what we'll do, but around 9 a.m. I will be on for sure. So that shall do it. Thank you guys for watching.
Halo Pop?
Halo Pog, probably offline. But yes. Bye-bye, everybody. Bye, recording. Have a good day. Thanks for